7 years without a single word. 7 years of silence, of healing, of building a life from nothing. And then, on a quiet Sunday afternoon, I opened my front door to find them standing there. My father Raymond, looking like he had aged 20 years. My mother Donna, clutching an envelope with trembling hands. The last time I saw them was the night they kicked me out for refusing to give 85% of my salary to fund my brother's lifestyle. Now here they were, begging. Before I continue this story, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. If stories about family sacrifice and finding your own strength resonate with you, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Stay with me through this story because what happened next changed everything I believed about family and loyalty. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, the kind of place where everyone knows your name and your business. Our family of 4 lived in a modest house on the edge of town. My father Raymond worked as an auto mechanic at a local garage. My mother Donna had a part-time job at the grocery store down the street. I was the firstborn, and my brother Kevin came along 3 years after me. When I think back to my childhood, the early years were warm enough. We did not have much money, but there was food on the table and a roof over our heads. What I did not realize until much later was that the warmth in our home was not distributed equally. From as early as I can remember, I was expected to be independent. By the time I was 14, I was delivering newspapers before school and mowing lawns on weekends. I saved every dollar I earned because I knew no one was going to hand me anything. My parents praised my work ethic, but now I understand it was less about pride and more about convenience. A self-sufficient son meant one less thing to worry about. Kevin was different. My parents treated him like he was made of glass. When he struggled in school, they blamed the teachers. When he got into trouble with other kids, they said he was just misunderstood. They called him sensitive, delicate, someone who needed extra protection from the harsh realities of life. Looking back, I see now that what they called protection was really just enabling. The favoritism became impossible to ignore during high school. I studied hard, worked my jobs, and managed to earn a partial scholarship to Ohio State University. The day I got the acceptance letter, I ran home expecting celebration. My father barely looked up from the television. My mother said congratulations, and then immediately started talking about how Kevin was thinking about dropping out of school to pursue his dream of becoming a musician. Kevin did drop out. Halfway through his junior year, he announced he was done with formal education. He said classrooms were suffocating his creative spirit. I expected our parents to be furious. Instead, they bought him an expensive guitar and gave him money to attend music networking events in Columbus. Meanwhile, I was patching holes in my shoes with duct tape to make them last another semester. The moment that broke, something inside me happened during my college graduation. I finished with honors, top of my class in the accounting program. It was the proudest day of my life up to that point. I looked out into the crowd during the ceremony, searching for my family. They were not there. Later, my mother called to explain. Kevin had a performance that day, a gig at some bar downtown, and they did not want him to feel unsupported. A bar gig. My brother playing cover songs to drunk strangers was more important than watching me receive my diploma. I told myself it was fine. I convinced myself that Kevin simply needed more attention, that my parents loved us both equally, but had to allocate their energy differently. I was strong, capable, independent. Kevin was fragile. It made sense that they would focus on him. That is what I told myself anyway. It was easier than admitting the truth that was right in front of my face. 2 weeks after starting my first job at an accounting firm in Columbus, my father called. I was making $42,000 a year, nothing spectacular, but enough to live on. I was proud of myself, excited to finally start my adult life on my own terms. Raymond did not call to congratulate me. He called to ask for money. Kevin was investing in his music career, he explained. Studio time, equipment, promotional materials. These things cost money, and Kevin did not have any. The family needed to come together to support his dream. Raymond suggested I contribute 50% of my salary each month, just temporarily, until Kevin got on his feet. I said yes. I did not even hesitate. I thought this was what families did. I thought sacrifice was love, and love was sacrifice. So I found the cheapest studio apartment I could, cut every expense to the bone, and sent half my paycheck home every single month. I genuinely believed that my sacrifice would bring our family closer together. I thought my parents would see how much I cared, how committed I was to Kevin's success. I thought Kevin would appreciate the opportunity and work hard to make something of himself. I had no idea that this was just the beginning. 6 months into this arrangement, my father called again. Kevin needed more money. The 50% was not enough. There were new opportunities, bigger studios, better equipment. Raymond said 65% would cover it, just for a little while longer. I agreed. What else could I do? I started eating ramen noodles for dinner most nights. I stopped running the air conditioning during the brutal Ohio summers. I told myself it was temporary, that Kevin would break through any day now, and everything would change. A year passed. Then Raymond asked for 75%. This time the explanation was even grander. Kevin had a golden opportunity to join a local band on tour. They were going to play venues across the Midwest. This could be his big break, but he needed investment capital. My father said it like he was reading from a business proposal, like Kevin was a startup company and I was the venture capitalist. I did the math. With 75% of my salary gone, I could barely cover rent. My only pair of dress shoes had holes worn through the soles. I was eating one real meal a day. But still, I convinced myself this was worth it. Kevin's success would be my success. Our family would be whole again. Then came Thanksgiving. I drove home for the holiday, excited to see my family despite everything. What I found when I arrived shattered every illusion I had been clinging to. Kevin was not on tour. There was no tour. The money I had sent for his musical journey had gone toward buying a used car. He said he needed it to meet with industry contacts, but the car mostly sat in the driveway. When I arrived, Kevin was asleep on the couch at 2 in the afternoon, game controller in his hand, television blaring. I walked through the house and noticed more things. Designer clothes in Kevin's closet, receipts from expensive restaurants, a brand new gaming system. Meanwhile, I was wearing the same shirt I had owned since junior year of college. That night, I confronted my parents at the dinner table. I asked where all the money had really gone. I asked why Kevin had new clothes and a new car while I was skipping meals. I asked if anyone in this family cared that I was slowly destroying my own life to fund my brother's laziness. Raymond exploded. He slammed his fist on the table and told me I did not understand. Kevin was in a developmental phase. His creative process could not be rushed or pressured. If I could not see that, then maybe I was not as smart as my college degree suggested. My mother tried a softer approach. She said Kevin was sensitive. If he felt criticized or pressured, he might spiral into depression. Did I want that on my conscience? Could I live with myself if my brother fell apart because I was too selfish to help? Kevin himself did not apologize. He barely acknowledged my presence. When I pressed him directly, he shrugged and said something that burned itself into my memory. "You have a stable job," he said. "Helping me is just the right thing to do." I drove back to Columbus that night. I did not stay for pie or coffee or family bonding. I sat in my car in the driveway for 20 minutes trying to decide if I was the crazy one. Maybe I was being selfish. Maybe family really did mean sacrificing everything for each other even when it hurt. Maybe I was the problem. I decided to keep giving. I decided to trust my parents. It was the last time I would make that mistake. 2 years after starting my job, I got promoted. My salary went up to $55,000. I should have been thrilled. Instead, I felt dread because I knew Raymond would find out. He did. Kevin heard about it from our mother, and within 48 hours, my father was on the phone with a new demand. 85%. He said Kevin had met a producer online. This producer had connections, real connections, the kind that could make Kevin a star. But there was an upfront investment required. 85% of my salary would cover it, plus make up for some of the earlier contributions that had been too small. I did the math out loud. If I gave 85% of my salary, I would have approximately $600 a month to live on. My rent alone was $700. I would be homeless. I told my father no. The word hung in the air. I do not think I had ever said it to him before, not about anything that mattered. The silence on the phone stretched for what felt like hours. Then Raymond spoke, and his voice was cold in a way I had never heard. He called me selfish. He said, I only thought about myself. He asked what kind of son refuses to help his own family when they need him most. I tried to defend myself. I told him I had given more than $60,000 over the past 2 years. I asked what Kevin had actually accomplished with all that money. I pointed out that I was barely surviving while Kevin lived like a prince. Raymond cut me off. If you will not help this family, he said, then do not consider yourself part of this family anymore. In the background, I heard my mother crying. She did not speak. She did not defend me. She just cried. I decided to go home one more time. I thought if I could just talk to them face to face, I could make them understand. I could show them the reality of my situation.